What is consonant and vowels? Okay, please describe consonants and vowels. I'm here to explain about the English consonants and vowels. Okay, firstly I will explain about the English consonants. Consonants are sounds that are produced with the articulator more or less close. That is, they are produced with a close articulation, going from completely together to only approximating. Consonant sounds are classified according to three dimensions. Three dimensions, that is voicing, place articulations, and then manner articulation. Okay, one by one, I will explain voicing, place articulation, and manner articulations. Voicing refers to the activity of the vocal fold when the vocal folds are wide apart. Consonants are said to be voiceless when they are closely together, and vibrating consonants are said to be voiced. The place of articulation refers to that are in one of the resonating cavities about that is larynx mouth, where the articulator are opposing some kind of structure of obstacle to the passing of air. The manner of articulations. According to manner of articulations, which describes the type of abstractions caused by narrowing or closure of the articulators, the consonants can be divided into stops: affricate, fricative, nasals, rules, lateral, and semivowels of frictionals continuance. We shall discuss this one by one. Okay, firstly, stop. Stop. In the production of a stop, the oral and nasal passage are closed simultaneously. The active and passive articulators come in contact with each other, forming a structure of a complete closure, and preventing the air from escaping through the mouth. The soft palate is raised, and thus the nasal passage is also blocked. This is also known as a valley closure. The air behind the oral closure is compressed, and when the active articulator is removed from contact with passive one, the air escapes with an explosion. Stops are also known as mutes, explosive, plosives, or occlusives. For example, P in pet and B in hat are examples of stops. Okay, 2. Affricative. If the stop is not held for any appreciable time and released slowly, we get an affricative rather than a plosive. For example, in word, in chair, chair, and in jail. Okay, 3. Nasal. In a nasal contact, the breath stream is interrupted at some point in the oral cavity or at the lips will while being allowed to enter in the noise lip up to noise and create resonance there. Thus, a nasal is produced by a structure of complete oral closure. The soft palate is lower. Soft palate is lower, and the air passes through the nose. All nasal sounds are voiced. Example, mm, 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 mm in English. For trill or rule consonants. In the production of a trill, the active can be the active articulator taps several times again and passive articulator. The structure in full can be called a structure of intermittent closure. Scottish example for example in red, in the which the tip of tongue strike against the teeth read a number of times is called a trill consonant. 5. Flap. For a flap, the active articulator strikes the passive articulation once only. For example, the in English word fairy, in which the tip of the tongue strikes against teeth, read only once. 6. Laterals are produced by the structure of complete closure in the center of the vocal tract, but the air passes out every one or both sides of the tongue. For example, in sentence, late. 7. Fricative. In the production of fricative consonant, the structure is one of close approximation. The active articulators and the passive articulator are so closer to each other that passage between them is very narrow, and their passes through it with a double friction. Examples are in sentence, fish, in faint, and in thing, and in them, and in sails, in zero, and sentence, sheep. Okay? 8. Frictionless continuum. In the production of frictionless continuum, the structure is that open approximation. For example, in the production of in red, real, ready. The active articulator tip of tongue is both just behind the passive articulator alveolar ridge, so that there is plenty of space between of two articulators, and the air passes between them without friction, and hence the term frictionless continuum. Okay. 9. Semi-vowel. I will explain semi-vowel. A semi-vowel is a vowel glide functioning is a consonant, as then C element in syllable structure. In terms of articulation, semi-vowels are like vowels, but they don't behave like vowels. Semi-vowels are never stable. They can never produce by themselves. They are sound transition. Examples: j in yet, and w in wet. There are also called semi-consonants too. Okay, and then fortis and lenis. When we have voiceless or voiced pair, the two sounds are also distinguished by the degree of breath, force, and muscular effort involved in the articulations, is comparatively strong or fortis, and z is comparative weaker leanness. We summarize the classifications of the consonant in English and the basis of the manner of articulation in following table. Okay? Name of the class: stop. Structure involved: completely closure. Completely closure. Example stop: P, B, T, D, K, D. Abbreviative. Structure involved: closure. Then slow separations. For example, t, t, d, t. And fricative. Structure involved: narrowing resulting in double frictions. For example, f, d, s, z, ch, t, 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 t. Nasal structure involved: complete closure in, for example, Okay. Rule: repeat intermittent closure. For example, sentence word. For example, Okay, next, literal: closure in the center of the mouth. Center, mouth. Air escapes over the sides of the tongue. For example, closure, mouth. Air escapes over the sides tongue. Air escapes over sides of the tongue. So, example, frictionless, slight narrowing, not enough to cause frictions. For example, Okay, next, semivowels or semiconsonants. Slight narrowing, not enough to cause frictions. Is it same meaning frictionless consonant and semivowel semiconsonant? But I have an example. For example, J. Okay, next I will explain about vowels. What is vowels? Okay, vowels may be defined with an open approximation without in abstraction, partial or complete. In the air passage, they are referred to as voiced in phonetics. They can be described in terms of three variables: height of tongue, part of the tongue which is raised or lower, lip rounding. In order to describe the vowels, we usually draw 3 points in the horizontal axis: front, central, and back, referring to the part of the tongue which is the highest. So we have front vowels, during the productions of which the front of the tongue is raised toward the hard palate. For example, E, 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 E. In English, as in